Alright, on today's adventures of where have Andy and Gavin traveled to, we have made our way up to St. Louis to come see Nate and throw an engine together for what used to be Puddles. If you guys don't know, this used to be Jade Tellman's pickup, and then Nate fixed some of the rust. Yeah. Yeah. Nate fixed some of the rust and was like there was still too much left. Ended up going buying that Donor half-ton with a good body on it. 2-tone, the whole 9. And that's going to go on that. And what they're doing right now is questionable, I'm sure. So some of the main caps looked not so good, or the main cap dowels looked not good. This one of them.
Yeah.
So it was very much no good, and we didn't want the mains to walk or anything go on there. So he's got new bearings, already stone honed it, but there was just one cap that had some bad dowels in it, so we were struggling to find anything. Turns out your adapter plate to block dowels are the exact same. Thank you to Mr. McCormick for that little cheat code, and they're putting those in right now. And after that, we'll start throwing the engine together and kind of go over what Nate wants to do. If you guys know Nate from our dyno day with the Shorty up at Firepunk. Shorty made pretty good power and he ended up selling it, and now he's got a new chassis to do some similar stuff to what we're doing and do some racing. So we'll put you up on a stand and kind of put the engine together. Alright, so based off all those clips you guys saw of myself, Andy, and Nate last night, we got the engine pretty well, assembled. The head was on, torqued, everything, so pretty much all he's got left is put the pickup tube on and put the oil paint on it, and obviously front and rear main once he does the covers and stuff. But sitting in a good spot, should give him a little bit of motivation to finish the truck side of things. So he's going to swap the body on, do the wiring harness, stuff like that. So hopefully that'll help out, having the engine pretty much ready to go in it. Andy made a very good catch on kind of a little bit of failure analysis, which comes in handy. That's what we kind of do for a living. Basically number 5, I think it was. Number 5, the piston was just completely ate to all shit. Like, it was bad. And after kind of considering it, he made note of it, and one of the saddle jets was completely clogged, or the saddle jet for number 5 was completely clogged. So that did you think it was silicone or something, or what you guys?
It looked like red block when it dries and crumbles.
So how that got in there, not entirely sure. Somebody had to have been in that engine before, and it didn't last very long for sure because of how bad it was. But yeah, definitely take note of that stuff if you guys are trying to, what I like to call, shitbox an engine together. I bought it as a running core, and he took it apart and found that piston that was all ate up and that cylinder that was fairly ate up from that. And a good indicator of that is the saddle jet, and maybe an issue with that. Just so happened to be clogged. It wouldn't have lasted very long at all if Andy had not found that. And luckily they got it cleaned out and good to go, and got everything installed. As you guys pretty much saw, it's a stock VP long block with main studs, and then has 625 head studs. But other than that, it is very simple, very stock. Gonna throw a VE on it, and good turbo setup, injectors, and some nitrous, and I'm sure Nate will be having lots of fun. But he just needs to get back in something. If you guys wonder why the name is familiar, he had the Shorty at the dyno day. It was the only, not the orange Shorty, but the other one, had the Evans pump on it. Did like, I had a video on here of it, did like 580 horsepower. And now, knowing what we know, this one should be pretty rowdy. This is 4-wheel drive. Gonna do a lot of street activities with us, I believe. So that is going to kind of wrap up the video with his stuff. It was good to see him. I'm sure we'll be back up there. He's up in St. Louis, so for like 3-hour drive, but not terrible. And what I just told Andy is we're under operation. We're not getting the bottle filled until the dually is running, which in all reality, doing the fusible link stuff, we're very close. Basically just need to extend some wires and mount my block, just drill some holes, mount the block, and then run the wires to that. Run by O'Reilly's, and I'm going to get a cable made, the ground cables and the power cables that go to the box, and then another power cable that goes from the box over around to the alternator for the one wire whenever I do that. So very, very much, I don't know, on the home stretch, it's just doing it. If I would spend a day doing it, it would be done. So
Lack of motivation.
Yeah, lack of motivation, very much. God, what are we doing coming up? We're going to be going to King of the Street with Brett, and then I don't know what I'm going to be doing past that. Hopefully just having 2 running trucks, but we will get there. The amount of light that we're getting after work is definitely dwindling. Winter is coming, and the long evenings are going to be gone, so we're going to have to figure out some motivation tactics, because it's going to be brutal this winter. We're going to have to get some stuff done, and not going to want to do it, I'm sure. So that's about all I got.
Put off both engines till winter.
Yeah, assemble both engines during the winter. I don't know. We got a lot to do with limited funds to do it and limited time to do it. Kind of our specialty, I guess. Hi guys, what's up? We are back in the garage. This is a non-racing weekend, so we're gonna attempt to get something done. We haven't really done much wrenching all weekend, but working on the front end of the dually today, and it's been nothing but problems so far. In the meantime, Andy has done a little rattle can rebuild action right here. It's looking solid, and then we're going to modify my lower control arm permanently. Basically, I went to go do ball joints, and my ball joint socket is apparently still in the Lamar. I could have swore I brought it back here, but so I can't do the uppers, but I was like, I might as well do the lowers. Come to find out, the lower control, or the lower ball joint's welded into the control arm, so they welded the wrong one. Blows me away. But right now, Andy's setting up the TIG stuff, because I do believe I had to basically grind the welds a little bit, and then got my ball joint press on it and got it out, but it scuffed up a little bit of the bore, and I cleaned it up as good as I could. And now we'll basically press the new one in, and then go ahead and take the TIG welder and weld a couple little spots on there and it'll be good to go. But the lowers were the ones that were bad, that had play, so we just want to get those done. I'm going to get new bushings because the lower control arm bushings were toast. So we're going to do both of those for the lowers and throw the factory springs back in it just so it sits lower, and I guess eventually I'm going to put drop shackles in it. I think that'll probably be the move. But that is currently what we are up to. I assume paint's just drying on the engine. It does look rather kind of hard to see with the lighting, but it's looking good. But you said the timing case has been off of it, you believe?
Yeah, at least the cover has. Because it's all like Ford Permatex.
Yeah.
It was brown before, or it was gray before I painted it black.
Huh. But this thing, you said cylinders looked. Did you already ball hone it?
Yeah.
This one. Oh yeah. That's gonna do just fine. It's got a little ball hone action and some new rings. You did say rings were broken on most of them? All of them?
Had the compression ring and scraper ring broken, so.
That makes a lot of sense as to why it was running like it was.
Yeah, and the cylinders were like Paris polishing, level of polish, so not a lot of sealage.
Yeah. So that should do the trick. And just there to there. I just obviously it needs dressed, but
Staying in it. We're not putting main bearings in it or anything. We're using rod bearings and just gonna
send it.
break. So
Well, that's the way to ship box right there. And Brutus is baking in the sun and going back to the shade every now and then. It's actually very nice. It'll be very nice this week. It's like the highest it's going to be this week is like 82 or 83. So I will take it. It is Labor Day and we are shipboxing per usual. So I'll show you what all is apart over here and then we get to putting the new ball joint in. So pretty much it all comes right out. But
this needs a rattle can rebuild.
yeah, this thing does need a rattle can rebuild. Needs more power washing and some new parts. Should probably not let this thing hang like that. It's a little bit better. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what we're doing. I will not probably have everything. Well, I won't have everything to put the dually all the way back together because I need my socket for the uppers. But the uppers did not have play, so I might throw it back together, and then when I go back to Lamar to get my socket, I'll come back and then we'll do the uppers after that. That's the update for Monday, that we don't have to work. It's phenomenal. Alright guys, so you saw Andy welding on the lower control arm. So that ball joint's in, and there's some 3-spot welds on the lower ball joint now. Just to make sure, because it did scuff up the bore of it a little bit. We used the press and it went right in, and it didn't go in too loose or anything, but I don't know. If it wasn't already messed up a little bit, I wouldn't have tack welded it in there because there's no point for it with how the weight of the truck sits. The upper one's the problem, but that is where we're going to end the evening. As far as the progress on the ball joints, I'm going to wait for the tool here to do the uppers, and then I ordered bushings for the lowers, and the bushings will be here this week. Put new bushings in, throw the control arms back in, and we'll be good to go. But finally going to get some progress done on the dually. I've just been procrastinating and about to start working on it again, and we need to get it finally roadworthy and going. If you guys do have leads on dually wheels, or if you have dually wheels you'd like to sell, shoot me a message or an email or drop it in the comments. I won't see it on Instagram or anything, so either a Facebook message or drop it in the comments. But they basically they're 9/16 studs, so I don't want first gen stock wheels, and I don't want these. If somebody had a set of Fortune 17-inch Alcoas that doesn't want way too much money for them, I would be in. But I'm also not going to spend an astronomical amount on freaking stock wheels. So let me know, because the dually needs something. It is terrible. Alright, so I'm going to start doing the fusible link delete stuff on the truck, or the refusible link delete. I don't know what to call it. I was really hoping that this truck would be a good one to do a very good video for you guys of a factory fusible link delete. That is not the case. This has already been messed with. Let's see if I can zoom in for you guys. Yeah. You can see down in there, if it focuses, there we go. It's already been messed with, and there's some stuff cut out of the harness already. A bunch of stuff going on here. It looks awful. It's probably maybe even worse than the factory, but I've got some work to do. But to start this, and how I would attack this, if you guys, maybe you are in this situation, so how I am going to attack this is I'm going to pull these wires off one by one and label them. Got my Sharpie and painter's tape here, and I will label each wire of basically what does what per my diagram. I'll pull that up right here, so maybe if you guys would like to screenshot it, you can. It's all over the internet. I think Tim put the same one up. There's actually a better one that I have that it's actually, everything is completely labeled of what wire does what. This one, not so much the case, but I use a similar diagram to that, and then we'll label it based off of that and kind of get a spot cleaned up for where we're going to put our block at. Probably going to do the exact same as the blue truck. And we might have to extend some wiring, we might have to do some stuff like that just because this has already been cut up. There's relays there for God only knows what, and relays missing that were the factory, so I would like to just get it all back working again. I assume these new relays are put in because the factory one, they couldn't figure it out, and that's just not going to work for me. We're going to figure it out and figure out why it wasn't working and fix it how it's supposed to be. So I believe I'm going to go ahead and get on that. And this does take time. Don't expect this to be a afternoon job, especially if it's all messed up like this and you really don't know what goes where because somebody else has already messed with it. So if you need to drive this the next day, do not be doing this on a weeknight. I would say plan out a weekend to do it. But we're going to do it and try and do it nice and neat. Clean this stuff up. Get our battery terminals cleaned up so there's not hardly any wires on there, just like the blue truck is. That is what I'm going to do to the dually while we're waiting on bushings for my lower control arm. Alright, before I call it good for the night, sorry in advance for the mower across the street. There's nothing I can really do about that, but it went from something like a simple fusible link delete to figuring out all the stuff that was kind of messed up or hacked as far as the delete they tried to do. And basically the whole harness is pretty much detached? Yeah. Whole harness is pretty much detached from the truck. I've got it unplugged down here at the engine and at the wiper motor, and I've got some stuff kind of pulled out over there, but I pulled out all the grid heater stuff already. I'm going to be pulling out all the alternator wires because I need none of that as far as alternator wire goes. That's going to run a one-wire PA Performance alternator just like the blue truck. They do phenomenal, they work great, and I don't have to worry about it. If there's anything I'm worried about on a road trip on a first gen, it's like mainly sorry, it's mainly if the truck stops charging. Like, I don't know, anytime I've ever been straining in a first gen, it's because it stopped charging due to some stupid alternator or external voltage regulator or something like that. So I put PA Performance alternators on all my stuff now. It's not worth my time. The engine's going to be fine, the tran's going to be fine, everything else is going to be fine. It's always something to do with the freaking charging system. So I learned my lesson a long time ago. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now that the mowing has started, my allergies are going nuts and I've got to go inside. But that's where I made it tonight. I'm going to work on pulling the rest of it out probably tomorrow. And then get the stuff out I need, re-wrap some of it, and re-tape it. I'm not going to tuck this one, but yeah, you get the idea. Alright, it's the following day. You can kind of see the ground's wet here. Had the power washer out. Got the lower control arm completely cleaned. It was most of the way clean, but I just wanted to get it really good. And then we purple powered this section over here and power washed. Granted, it's probably not perfect, but all the dirt is off from what I can see. So that's all I was after. And we got a good surface now that once it'll dry, I got some satin black rattle can, and we'll clean some of this stuff up and make it look halfway decent. But now that all that's clean, I'm probably going to paint that lower control arm. or most of it, and then get it back in here and get the spring in here. I forgot that I need to wash off the spring too because it's covered. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I had to go and get some spray paint and stuff, so it took a little bit of time, went and ate, but we're making a little bit of headway this evening on the front end. The goal really would be just to get this side fully done tonight. Sun is starting to get lower in the sky, so do as much as we can, then I'll probably end up backing the truck back out of the driveway and flipping it around, and then we'll do the other side tomorrow maybe, and just keep plugging away. The dually, we got the front end back together on this side, so we got the lower control arm, new lower ball joint, and everything reassembled. Obviously the upper still needs done. Whenever I go back to Lamar, I'll just grab the socket for that, and we'll do it at that point in time because that ball joint is good. We put the factory coil spring back in there, so that's probably just going to be what we do height-wise. And now, I was going to do the other side. I don't really want to do it this close to the third gen, so I'm going to end up flipping the truck around and doing it like that, but I have already started the fusible link delete, and I've cut everything apart already, so I'm going to work on fusible links and for this afternoon, and hopefully get it back running by this evening maybe. So that's what we're doing on our Sunday. This will be the last video or last clips before I post this new video. Not super entertaining, but just constantly working on something. Show you guys the progress on the dually right quick before we end this video. I haven't been filming it because so far it's been just very tedious stuff. But you can tell it's probably, I mean, compared to when you last saw it, it's a lot more cleaned up. It's all taped off now. But basically in the midst of doing all that, I found a bunch of wires. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different sections of wires that were just completely cut or corroded and damaged. So I fixed all of that while I was in there. In my experience, all the fusible link deletes I've done, there's been some sort of wire issues not related to the fusible links that's been down around this area. So I gave all those attention, we fixed it, we pulled up all of our fusible link stuff and kind of pulled it away from everything else. And then in the meantime, I also pulled out a bunch of stuff. All the grid heater stuff I pulled out. All the alternator wire is almost out. I've made it to about there. So I got to pull it out the rest of the way. So we'll get rid of all the alternator wiring because I won't need any of that with the one wire. I'll make my own new cable that's new and nice versus the old beat up one. I'll get a final video whenever this is all done of all the wires that I've pulled out of it, but we've already got a good bunch started here of things that were not needed, that were like kind of hacked in there and things like that. So that is kind of where I'm at with it, and made good progress.